You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
It's the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else.
I'm Alan Ray, and I do this for free. It is the refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else. I'm your humble host, Alan Ray, coming to you from the snowy cornfields of southeastern Michigan. Welcome to the show. We got a big one today. We got cocaine hippos, dinosaur buttholes, and electric DeLoreans. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be a good one. I only got about half of the stuff I need to bring up on my computer up, so I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, the crisis is over, okay? If you listen to me on a regular basis, first of all, you have my complete and sincere condolences because, well, there must be something wrong with your personal life. Anyway, no, I was complaining, bitterly wailing last week on Circumspice. I redesigned my studio. Especially where I do my podcasts, and I put a floating counter in so I could put all of my mixers and gizmos and gadgets, because I don't just do podcasts. I record music, I produce music, I do all kinds of stuff. I have all kinds of fun. And so I put a wider, a little bit more narrow counter space where this old rickety desk I had used to be. I got rid of the desk. Well, the first couple of podcasts I did and the shows I did, especially the live ones, the feng shui was just totally whacked. It was just gone. Okay, the mic was on the wrong side. I couldn't see the computer screens. I got two of them without turning my head at an awkward angle and still trying to get into the microphone. Nothing was right. It drove me crazy. You know, to speak for an entire hour with everything just awkward as moose sex, it's just crazy, okay? So this week, I made some adjustments. I moved a screen over, moved the other computer over, changed the microphone back over to the left side where we all know it belongs, and coming down, pointing at my mouth so everything is good. Everything's back to normal. It feels so good. All right. Well, yeah, you were probably shocked by what I came out with. And we really are. We're going to talk about cocaine hippos, dinosaur buttholes, and electric DeLoreans today. But first of all, the past week, I fell into a discussion on social media, and I've been asked this question quite a few times. Those of you that know me, those of you that listen to me on a regular basis know that I have been studying for my technician license in ham radio. Well, somebody tagged me, one of Sharko, actually, who's one of the Chat Lives Matter crew. God love him. And welcome to the Chat Lives Matter crew. I know this is pre-recorded, but I know it's Friday, and Friday night we'll all be gathered together in KLRNRadio.net/chats chat room, and enjoying harassing each other and harassing whoever's got a show going on. Welcome. Thank you so much for listening. Anyways, Sharko tagged me into a conversation about ham radio. And since then, I've gotten a few DMs, and I actually have also had people ask me just flat out. They know I'm studying for this. They know I've been, somebody who has been into shortwave radio, ham radio all my life. 10 years old was when I got my first shortwave. It was an old Hallicrafters, and I think the model's like an A38 or something like that. I need to really look that up. My uncle had it. He was in the Army, and he just dropped it off to my dad. My dad had it down in the basement, didn't do anything with it. I asked him if I could have it. He goes, sure. And I remember hours sitting up in my room, and I had this cheesy, basically and I didn't know it at the time, but it was a good antenna. It was a hanger that was just looped around the antenna feed and up, and I had a little ground wire that my dad made for me, and I was amazed at all of these places. I didn't understand half the languages I was hearing, but I was also amazed at some of the things I was hearing and where they were broadcasting from. Thus began a long journey of getting into this kind of thing, and I don't want to bore you to death with it. What I want to do is I want to I've had a lot of questions. How do I get into it? And a lot of people see, if you Google anything on ham radio, you see these people with these ham shacks. Okay, ham shack is where these nerds basically have hundreds of thousands of dollars of ham radio equipment, way more than what I want to spend on anything except music. I'd probably spend $100,000 on music in my life, but anyway, that's cool. If you're into it, that's great. And these people, they have their general license. They have, their advanced licenses in ham radio. And they've got, 80-foot aerial antennas, and they're beaming all over the world and stuff like that. It's cool. Now, what I want to first do is break this down. I had a lot of questions, and I'm going to answer some of these questions in what I'm about to say. in light of what we have been seeing with big tech companies, and I'm not going to get political, I'm just going to throw it out there. We know now, we understand completely now that big tech computer digital companies have the power to turn you off and turn you on any platform across the computer. They can just flip, you're gone. They can pool together to shut information down as they see fit. Now, you can argue amongst yourselves about the problems that's going to cause. This is a non-political podcast. I'm not even going to get into there. But people are starting to look for alternate methods of staying connected, staying in the loop. And some of the people, in fact, since the shutdown, it's been a fact that more and more people are going for their technician license in ham radio. Just basically, I don't know, out of sheer boredom. Now, I'm going to start out by saying if you just want to listen to what's out there, you do not have to have a license. If you're just listening, you don't have to have a license at all. And being alive in 2021 is the coolest thing in the world, because now we have what they call software-defined radio. And software-defined radio, I will call it SDR from this point forward, hooks to your computer. It's run, it's intercepted. You know, your SDR radio picks up radio frequencies, puts them on your computer screen, basically transmits them onto your computer screen, and your sound card will play, you know, what you're hearing. But that's just the very beginning of it. New software-defined radio will take you down to like the lowest frequencies all the way up to the highest frequencies. I personally have just a cheap kit. I bought, you know, all of the gizmos and gadgets, so it ended up costing me less than $100, like $90. But you can get just the radio receiver for $25 if you know what you're doing. But I bought the kit, came with little antennas, little doodads, all this stuff like that. And at first I was like, well, this is a crock. It doesn't work. Little did I know that there's a learning curve to it. This stuff is amazing. Okay. Any given day I can plug all this stuff in, and it just takes, you know, I mean, you could leave it hooked in. It's off to my left, right behind my microphone, my little get up here. It takes about 2 minutes to plug it all in, fire it all up. And I can get transmissions, shortwave broadcasts from all over the world, ham radio operators talking to each other. The coolest thing is now, you know, being the nerd that I am, I have a Morse code translator software that basically I can dial in Morse code, hit this translator software, and it'll sit there and type across my screen what they're typing back and forth. And yes, Morse code is actually alive and well. Now, I'm going to put this out there. If you're going for your technician license, you do not have to know Morse code. In fact, I don't even think you have to know it anymore. And the coolest thing is a lot of it you can get, you know, just as you got the translation software that I've got on my computer, you can also get software that you can just type whatever you want, hit send, and it'll just shoot it out in Morse code, you know, thanks to the computer age. Now, this being said, you do not have to have your computer hooked to the internet to get this stuff. Okay, you can plug it all in, disconnect the internet. In fact, sometimes I do it because it saves energy and it lets you process more of what you're doing on the radio. But if you want to just listen, there is just this great assortment of these SDR radios that take the place of $1,500, $2,000 setups. Now, if you're really getting nerdy, AirSpy has one, a get-up that it's just phenomenal. In fact, I'm thinking about just buying one just to replace my old Newelec unit that I've got. It's okay, but it's kind of cheesy. It's not the best reception in the world. But be advised before you get into any of this. It's all about the antenna. If you live in a place, an apartment, or a, you know, homeowners association or whatever kind of oppressive regime that you're living under, and they have strict rules about antennas, you have to rethink about what you're doing. That doesn't mean you're out of the game. It doesn't mean at all you're out of the game. but you may have to be creative in how you set up an antenna. I watched a video about a guy that a 2 meter, 70 centimeter, he had his technician license. He lived in an apartment that had strict rules about no antennas outside. So what did he do? He made he bought a pot that you would put plants in, and he filled it up with concrete, put his little antenna that he bought, and you could go into what kind of antenna you need for that, wrapped, looped a bunch of fake vines around it that he bought at, some kind of craft store. And from the road, from everywhere else, it looks like he's just got this really pretty little pot with a vine growing up a stick, and it looks kind of neat. However, being on a third floor of an apartment building that he is, he's picking up things all over the world, and he's just got a little wire running into his apartment for his setup. So you may have to get creative, but it's all about the antenna. That's the biggest thing I want to drive home. I didn't get anything in until I studied and made a decent antenna. Now that I'm through the studying part of this, I'm ready to test out. I'm ready to go. I'm hopefully this weekend getting a hold of the local radio club and taking my test, getting certified so I can get on the air. But one of the things I've learned in my studies of getting ready to get licensed is that the antenna that I've got is okay. It's not bad. Proof's in the pudding. It's working. I'm getting all kinds of stuff, but it could be so much better. So, summer plans, building me a new antenna. Without getting the ire of my wife or overtaking the entire neighborhood with wires. That's the big plan. But anyways, that is the big one. If you just want to listen, you don't have to have a license. It's all about the antenna. YouTube is your friend. YouTube is your friend with all of this stuff. You want to find out what the best software is. I can tell you right now, if you're just starting out with software-defined radio, SDR Sharp is the best. In fact, I've got a couple of different softwares on my computer for software-defined radio. I still go back to SDR Sharp. It's got a lot of gizmos and gadgets, or you can just dumb it all down and just be simple with it. But it's very definitive. You can figure out, it's got different things that tell you, hey, you're on this kind of shortwave, and it'll automatically kick what, you're listening to, which single sideband is something you can get into. You have to get all this stuff yourself. You have to do the research yourself. I'm just setting you up. If you're really, really, really interested, listen to what I'm saying, and maybe you can do more research. Maybe you can't. Now, that being said, I also have and I just wanted to replace the huge bulky brick of a shortwave radio that I had. I bought a Texan PL880. Now, this thing was a little expensive. It was a couple of $100. Came highly recommended by a couple of friends of mine. Now, this is just a shortwave radio. It's got single sideband, which means you can pick up ham frequencies across a lot of the spectrum. Now, not the very high and ultra high frequencies, but just your regular, spectrum, your shortwave spectrum. It is the bomb. I can sit out on my patio with just the regular antenna up and get darn near anything. If I bring it inside and plug in my big antenna, wow, I get conversations all over the place. Now, that's kind of nerding out, but it's out there. You can spend a couple $100 if you just want to listen, and you can get you something that picks things up all over the country, all over the world. Just going to throw that out there. That's just if you don't want to hook things up to your computer, if you're not computer savvy. And I can tell you right now, SDR Sharp, there's a learning curve to all of this, guys. It's not plug and play. It's not dumbed down to the point where you can just turn something on and go, oh, look, you have to learn how to use it. Even the simple Texan PL880 that I've got sitting off to my left now. When you get it, you have to learn how to manipulate the frequencies. You have to learn how to dial in single sideband radio. You have to learn where some of these frequencies are. And again, YouTube is your friend. The computer is your friend. The ARRL website, which is, the American Amateur Radio National Association for Amateur Radio. They're the big website. Go on there. They got all kinds of things to get you interested in what you're doing. Now, that's just listening. Okay, I hope I was clear with that. It's all about the antenna. YouTube is your friend. You can go on Amazon and get a $90 kit to hook up software-defined radio. It's a blast just watching the waterfall and watching, what radio frequencies look like. If you really nerd out, there's TV on there. If you really, really nerd out, you can pick up things like satellites and whatever. It's the possibilities are endless with SDR. Really, ham radio has its own internet and everything. It's kind of crazy. Now, if you want to get your tech license, if you want to transmit at all, you do have to have your tech license. That is another ball game. Okay, and I'm going to tell you right now, just throwing this out there, then you can just use the information how you see fit. You will have to know some math, not a lot. Now, I really can't say I'm mathematically stupid because I finally understood algebra. I've always been pretty good at geometry, but the second round that I went through with college, I studied and I studied and I studied and I studied, and I actually aced both my algebra exams, algebra classes, but man, did it take me a lot. But now I understand it. There is a little bit of, basic algebraic formulas you have to know. Just a couple. It's not that hard. It's basically, X equals Y times, V, or X equals Y divided by V, or something like that. It's really basic. It's not that hard to understand. If I can understand it, you can understand it. Basic electrical concepts. If you're going for your tech license, there are basic electrical concepts. Now, I've worked around and with electricity all my life, and I struggled with this. I went back through and I struggled, but I looked at it, I read it, I committed it to memory, I watched a bunch of videos on it, and I'm gonna tell you about basically a site right now, and this is from the Hearst Amateur Radio Club in Texas. And these guys actually have a 3-part YouTube class that's just like sitting in a class that you get when you want to get licensed for ham radio. And I would sit there and watch this while I was on the treadmill, and then, think about some of the things they were saying. Go back to the book that I found. I got about a $20 book on Amazon, and they made it where I could understand it a lot better. And now I'm to the point where I'm pretty confident when they flash something about electricity up there, I got it. Now, Hearst Amateur Radio Club, they've got these online, and they're really good. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. When you set through 3 videos, 2.5 hours each, it's not the most exciting thing in the world. It's not glamorous, but it's the information you need to get your tech license. Okay? So don't get too excited on me. Don't get all crazy. That being said, these guys also give you a link to a site where you can sit there and take practice test after practice test after practice test. And they recommend that you start doing it even after the first video. Just start taking these practice tests. And pretty soon you're so used to the questions and you find yourself learning more and more. And you get to the point where you're passing them one right after another. And when you're passing them on a consistent basis, like I am right now, you're ready to get tested. You find your local radio, amateur radio club. You ask them when they're going to do testing again, which, amateur radio clubs, amateur radio operators, the panel of them have to give you the test. It's not the FCC. The FCC basically gives you the big picture, but your local amateur club are actually the people who give you the test. They're a self-testing organization. So you have to get a hold of them and you can do it. Now, there's a couple of places that'll do it online, but I think you still have to have somebody who is a holding general license person or more in your basic vicinity. So, they can tell you're not cheating or anything like that. The tests are not that hard. Okay, they're multiple choice, and a lot of times you can eliminate at least 2. There's usually 4 answers. You can eliminate 2 of them just by common sense. So you have to know a little bit of math, a little bit of basic electricity. You have to know antennas. They're very big because, like I said, antennas are everything. There's a large section of antennas, propagation, safety, all of the things that you need to know to actually get up and running with either listening or transmitting on ham radio. So just if you're interested in it, if you're getting going on it, if you want to get into it, that's the basics. If you're more interested in that, like I said, YouTube is your friend. There's just so many videos. I highly recommend the Hearst Amateur Radio Club's website, which is w5hrc.org. That's w5hrc.org. These guys have it on the ball. I stumbled across them actually when I was looking at this, the guy that runs their website, that runs their YouTube channel. He does a lot of promotions and reviews and stuff like that on some equipment. And I ran across it because he had some review on equipment. I looked at that and I went, "Oh, look at under there." They always give you those videos underneath. There was all of these videos. Hey, there's all these ham classes. So I started watching them, and it really does help. So there you have it. You want an alternate way to stay in touch. And even with the technician license, you're limited to what you can transmit, basically you're limited to certain frequencies. Used to be that was just local stuff, but I can tell you just from experience, I'll sit there and listen to some of these frequencies, and there's this thing called the East Coast Reflector. And the East Coast Reflector, one of their repeaters is just a few miles from my home, and you can transmit and receive all over the world from this setup. You have the information now. If you're more interested, get into it. YouTube is your friend. There's so many online places. The ARRL website will give you all kinds of directions to follow. Get into it if you want to. And yes, you will hear a lot. I mean, it's really interesting just with shortwave radio by itself. To listen to some Radio Free China, Radio Free Japan, Radio Free Taiwan, Africa, whatever, listen to how they report what's going on in your own country. You find things out that you just don't find out around here. You also find things out about the world that the media here doesn't really report. It's very interesting. Now, that being said, I'm going to get off that kick because, oh my gosh, we're almost blowing through the bottom of the hour. Let's get into some of the things I was talking about. DeLoreans might be making a comeback. Yes, I must have one. However, this is according to electric.co. The DMC DeLorean was the only vehicle produced by John DeLorean's DeLorean Motor Company. Okay, that's a joke if you get it. It became famous for being featured in the Back to the Future series of movies, but is also a well-known vehicle in the industry for a few reasons. First off, it successfully reached production, which is rare for a startup in the auto industry dominated by legacy automakers who have roots going back up to a century. In the end, the company went bankrupt after facing many challenges throughout a tumultuous history that involved political fighting and even an FBI sting operation, which, we all know John DeLorean got caught with a little nose candy going on. The DeLorean was also an innovative vehicle with its signature use of full gull-wing doors and brushed stainless steel outer body panels. In 1995, Stephen Wynn bought the company's old inventory and trademark to relaunch the brand based in Texas. At first, the plan was to bring back the same vehicle with more modern technology in low volume. For the past 5 years, the company pushed for the adoption of a new rules for low-volume vehicles production with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the NHTSA. These new rules were finally recently adopted, but the delay was so long that it complicated DeLorean's plans. The engine they had planned to use is not going to be compliant with emission standards. In a new blog post, the company is now hinting that they're going to go electric with the DeLorean. And there's a quote. That said, with EVs becoming more mainstream, we've considered switching to an all-electric as the future. It certainly makes for an easier path through emissions maze, which still looms large over any internal combustion engine. While an electric Cobra or Morgan may be a little extreme for their potential market, we've already seen that an EV DeLorean, as we displayed in the 2012 New York International Auto Show, is not such an out-there idea. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. You might see the DeLorean make a comeback. I don't know in what form. I don't know how it's going to look. But electric DeLoreans, huh? What a time to be alive. We've reached the bottom of the hour. When we come back, yes, we're going to have dinosaur buttholes. We're going to have cocaine hippos and a few other goodies, gizmos, and gadgets and things to be aware of. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Listen now and don't forget, if you go for that solid jive, you can always keep the dream alive. Palin with Al.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Welcome back. It is a refreshingly non-political podcast about everything else. I am your humble host, Alan Ray. I do this for free every other Friday night on KLRNRadio.net, America's podcast network. Welcome back. You know, I try not to infringe. Well, no, that's crap. I do infringe on other people's shows all the time. It's my show. I can do whatever I want. But a little cybersecurity thing here. I ran across this in entrepreneur.com. And, of course, the guys from Cyber Wars can expand on this much better than I can because I don't know what makes them go. I just write them, okay? This is why you should stop using Facebook Messenger, according to an expert. So you're worried about the privacy of your messages? According to cybersecurity specialist Zach Doffman, we should stop using Facebook Messenger. The reason? There is no proper protection of our messages. According to him, the flight of users that caused the policy change in WhatsApp is a distraction from how bad it is, the invasion of its sister platform in our privacy. The greatest defense of WhatsApp so that users do not leave it aside is we cannot see your private message, nor listen to your calls, and neither can Facebook. However, according to Doffman, if you are a Messenger user, you do not run with the same luck. The end-to-end encryption that protects WhatsApp messages does not apply to Facebook Messenger unless you are using a secret conversation. Now, this option only supports messages between two people, not within groups, and must be activated manually, says Doffman. The advice given by the specialist is that if you are using Facebook Messenger, migrate to any other platform that protects your messages with end-to-end encryption, including WhatsApp itself. Now, I've never used WhatsApp, but I am going to tell you this. Okay, I have Messenger on one item that I have, and that is a basically cheap Amazon tablet that I use to watch YouTube videos, and it's the only thing I have Facebook onto because I don't trust Facebook. Facebook is malware. Okay, that's basically it in a nutshell. You can get all the specifics and complications and all that, but I have found that when I disabled it on my phone, and this is how bad it is, you can't even take it off of my Samsung phone. It won't allow you to take it off. You can disable it, which I suspect it still collects data, still does all this stuff. Oh, but we wouldn't do that, would we? Yes, you would. So will Google. You're all a bunch of basically information pirates, and you don't care about the privacy of the people who have your technology. But the big thing is, if you are dumb enough to actually send messages in Facebook Messenger, or to tell you the truth, any other messenger in technology that is hypercritical, or maybe if you're doing something nefarious that could implicate you, but then you're not that bright. But you also have to know that if you send personal information, you send things that should just not be in the cyber world at all, like your social security number, your, things like that. What are you sending that stuff on a messenger app for? So you'll have to listen to Cyber Wars or one of those others to figure out what you should be using. I've never even heard of WhatsApp, really, tell you the truth, because I really don't send messages to other people with personal information that may compromise what I do in life. It's just not what I do. So there you have it. And to tell you the truth, how long will it be till somebody can decode what's going on in WhatsApp and use that against you? It's a very, very scary world out there, folks. Don't be dumb with your technology. Don't assume that what you're doing is not going to basically get put somewhere on the web. It's all tracked. You can actually see the data that Google has on you. And according to howtogeek.com, and delete it. Now, I will take argument against this article. But according to this article, the good news is that Google has a central hub for viewing all of the data associated with your account. Some of this information that you willingly provided, but there's some stuff that you may not know about. After we give it a look over, we'll show you how to delete it. According to, if you go to Google Chrome and go to myaccount.google.com, navigate to the Data and Personalization tab. This long page is where you see all of your data, and there are a few sections that you'll want to explore. First, scroll down to Activity and Timeline. My Activity, this pretty much is everything that you do that is connected some way to your Google account, which includes browsing history, Google searches, YouTube history, Google Assistant commands, location history, etc. Your Timeline, this is a dedicated page for your location history displayed on a map. You can adjust the dates to really explore your travels. Location history is gathered from Google Maps and other Google apps. Okay, this is the stuff they basically get on you. You also have data and personalization tab. Go back and check out the things you create and do, and click the Go to Google dashboard. This is a big list of all the Google apps and services that you use. Each one can be expanded to reveal shortcuts to the information. The Google dashboard is where you can really dive in deep and see exactly how much data Google has on you. After you see all this, according to this article, the next thing you might want to do is delete it. Now, we've already touched on this a bit, but from My Activity page, you can delete chunks of your data that have been grouped together by the service. For example, you could delete all of your Google search history from a specific day. Deleting data like that can be a little tedious, though. A better solution is to have your data automatically deleted after a certain period of time. At the top of the My Activity page, you will see Web and App Activity, Location History, and YouTube History. Click any of these to adjust how your data is tracked. That being said, is it really deleted? Is it really gone from the cyber world? No. Guarantee you, no. If you think Google, for 1 minute, is going to let that valuable data go away, you're naive beyond all reason. Again, be careful with your technology. All right. Dinosaur buttholes. Promised you this. Paleontologists finally have their first good look at a dinosaur butt, according to CNET.com. Paleontologists spend their entire academic career studying the anatomy of a dinosaur, but now a team of scientists from the University of Bristol has finally described in detail a dinosaur's cloacal or vent, which is used for everything from defecation and urination to attracting a mate to breed with, or less scientifically, a jack-of-all-trades butthole. I like that terminology better. In a new study published in the Journal of Current Biology on Tuesday, scientists revealed a range of theories about the cloacal vent on a dog-sized dinosaur called, I'm going to screw this up, I know, Buttholes, a relative of the Triceratops from early Cretaceous era, which lived about 120 million years ago. This Dr. Jacob Venther from University of Bristol said, I noticed the cloaca several years ago after we had reconstructed the color patterns of this dinosaur using remarkable fossil on display at the Senckenberg Museum in Germany, which clearly preserved its skin and color patterns. It took a while before we got around to finish it off because no one has ever cared about comparing the exterior of cloacal openings of living animals, so it was largely uncharted territory. Phrasing! Phrasing, people! The researchers revealed the dinosaur's cloaca had similar features as cloacas on alligators and crocodiles. The dino's outer cloaca areas were also likely highlighted pigment or highly pigmented. This pigmentation may have been used to attract a mate, much like baboons use theirs. We found the vent does look different in many different groups of tetrapods, but in most cases it doesn't tell you much about an animal's sex. Those distinguishing features are tucked inside the cloaca, and unfortunately they are not preserved in this fossil, says Dr. Diane Kelly from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Knowing that at least some dinosaurs were signaling to each other gives paleo artists exciting freedom to speculate on a whole variety of now plausible interactions during dinosaur courtship. So there you go, says paleo artist and study artist Robert Nichols. It's a game changer. So rest at ease knowing that there's scientists out there studying dinosaur buttholes. Cocaine hippos are out of control. Dozens of wild cocaine hippos are by all accounts thriving in their adoptive home of Colombia. News that sounds positive on the face, however, A bloat of contented hippos doing their thing, tromping around in the mud. Nothing wrong with this picture, right? But according to some scientists, the ecological impact of their party lifestyle has been and could continue to be devastating. Therefore, some scientists are recommending a cull of the cocaine hippos for fear that their numbers will continue to swell at unattainable rates. Now, nobody likes the idea of shooting a hippo, says ecologist Natalie Castelbanco Martinez. But we have to accept that no other strategy is going to work. To be clear, the cocaine hippos are not hippos who have consumed cocaine, all right? It's just a tag that was put on them because the cocaine hippos are hippos that Pablo Escobar, the late head of the Medellin drug cartel, illegally imported into Colombia during the 1980s to live in a private zoo. He kept on his estate. After Escobar's death in 93, the Colombian government either relocated or killed most of his animals, but apparently 4 hippos eluded capture. They've bred enthusiastically since then and expanded their dominion past the boundaries of Escobar's ranch, according to the authors of a study published in January's Journal of Biological Conservation. A cull may be the only way to manage the hippos. Hungry, hungry hippos. So, hippos are native to sub-Saharan Africa where they must weather dry periods within limited river access. The Telegraph reports that Colombia is a comparative hippo paradise with its abundance of rain and lack of natural predators. The cocaine hippos being an invasive species and all. Having flourished in their new environment, the cocaine hippos are running roughshod over the Magdalene River Basin. According to CNN, there were about 35 known cocaine hippos in the area in 2012, whereas now they are looking at anywhere from 80 to 100. We may be looking as many as 1,500 cocaine hippos by 2040. Okay, I'm not seeing a down to this. Let them go. God knows they're hunting them down and killing them in Africa. Anyways, for ecologists, a big concern is the staggering amount of poop that history's already produced. There's a theme to this podcast now. We're talking about dinosaur buttholes and hippo poop. Yes. It's all going in the crapper, kids. They feed on land and then excrete the waste into water, altering its chemistry, fueling the growth of bacteria and algae, and potentially sickening the aquatic animals and the humans alike. And then there's the problem of aggressions. Hippos kill about 500 people each year in Africa, according to the LA Times. While no cocaine hippo-related deaths have been reported in Colombia, the Telegraph notes that a farmer suffered a hippo attack last year, resulting in several broken bones. So, partying cocaine hippos are out of control in South America. Invasive species. Do you let them go? Do you shoot them? What do you do with partying cocaine hippos? I don't have the answer to this. I say let them go. Yeah, South America's had it too good for too long. Sitting down there with that Amazon rainforest, all that stuff. You know, you want to keep people out of the Amazon rainforest? Well, then you're going to need something big and aggressive. Cocaine hippos may be your answer. Don't tell me you can't solve the poop problem, okay? I'm just not going for that. In all seriousness, invasive species, they are a problem. I mean, we're dealing with that in Michigan. If you listen to Circumspice the Right Side of Michigan, my show I do every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, here on KLRNRadio.net. Shameless plug. Ba-dum-bum. Anyways, if you listen to us, you know that the state of Michigan is fighting an invasive carp species from getting into the Lake Michigan. If it gets into Lake Michigan, it could spell doom for walleye, steelhead, a lot of the species that belong there. So, yeah. You might just have to eliminate them. I don't know. Try to capture them, take them back to South Africa, put them in zoos. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Anyways, finally, if you listen to Juxtaposition last night, and it's kind of funny that I've had this on my radar for about a week and a half now. If you listen to Juxtaposition last night, they were talking about hauntings and stuff like that. Kind of neat that it ties in with this. ScienceAlert.com says scientists are figuring out why some people can hear the voices of the dead. Scientists have identified the traits that may make a person more likely to claim they hear the voices of the dead. According to new research, a predisposition to high levels of absorption in tasks, unusual auditory experiences in childhood, and high susceptibility to auditory hallucinations. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my ability to speak. Anyways, highly susceptible to auditory hallucinations all occur more strongly in self-described clairvoyants or clairaudient mediums than the general population. The finding could help us better to understand the upsetting auditory hallucinations that accompany mental illnesses such as schizophrenia. The spiritualist experiences of clairvoyance, the experience of seeing or hearing something in the absence of an external stimulus and attributed to the spirits of the dead, is of great scientific interest, both for anthropologists studying religions and spiritual experiences, and the scientists studying pathological hallucinatory experiences. In particular, researchers would like to better understand why some people with auditory experiences report spiritualist experience, while others find them more distressing and receive a mental health diagnosis. Spiritualists tend to report unusual auditory experiences which are positive, start early in life, and which they are often then able to control, explained psychologist Peter Mosley of Northumbria University in the UK. Understanding how these develop is important because it could help us understand more about distressing or non-controllable experiences of hearing voices too. He and colleague psychologist Adam Powell of Durham University in the UK recruited and surveyed 65 clairaudient mediums, which clairaudient mediums apparently are people who hear spirits of the dead, yada yada. And 143 members of the general population recruited through social media to determine what differentiated spiritualists from general public who don't usually report hearing voices of the dead. Overall, 44.6% of the spiritualists reported hearing voices daily. 79% said the experiences were part of their daily lives, and while most reported hearing the voices inside their head, 31.7% reported hearing the voices externally. The results of the survey were striking. Compared to the general population, the spiritualists reported much higher belief in the paranormal and were less likely to care what other people thought of them. Isn't that interesting? Spiritualists on the whole had their first auditory experience young, at an average age of 21.7 years, and reported a high level of absorption. That's a term that describes total immersion in mental tasks and activities or altered states, and how effective the individual is at tuning out the world around them. In addition, they reported that they were more prone to hallucination-like experiences. The researchers noted that they hadn't usually heard of spiritualism prior to their experiences. Rather, they had come across it while looking for answers to what they were hearing. In the general population, high levels of absorption were also strongly correlated with belief in the paranormal, but little or no susceptibility to auditory hallucinations. And in both groups, there was no differences in the level of beliefs in the paranormal and susceptibility to visual hallucinations. These results, the researchers say, suggest that experiencing the, quote, voice of the dead, unquote, is therefore unlikely to be the result of peer pressure, a positive social context, or suggestibility due to belief in the paranormal. Instead, these individuals adopt spiritualism because it aligns with their experience and is personally meaningful to them. So in other words, what they're saying is these people don't become spiritualists and then hear voices. They've been hearing voices and look for answers to why they hear them and become spiritualists. Now, our findings say a lot about learning and yearning. For our participants, the tenets of spiritualism seem to make sense of both extraordinary childhood experiences as well as the frequent auditory phenomenon they experience as practicing mediums, Powell said. But all of those experiences may result from having certain tendencies or early abilities than from simply believing in the possibility of contacting the dead if one tries hard enough. Future research, they concluded, should explore a variety of cultural contexts to better understand the relationship between absorption, belief, and the strange spiritual experience of ghost whispering in one's ear. So there you have it. The mashup between psychology, spiritualism, and mediums. Are they really hearing the voices of the dead? I don't know. You do look back in history. You look back in all kinds of history, in all religions, and there's a lot of evidence of deep meditative states deep meditative states, deep spiritual immersion, resulting in prophecies that a lot of them come true, resulting in hearing voices inside your head, being connected to, I don't know, a central base of knowledge. And some of it's kind of scary because a lot of it came true. You know, the things that these people said, the things that these people did were accurate. Spooky. That's enough of the spook stuff. Thank you so much for listening to I Do This for Free. You know, it's been fun doing this show. I hope you learned a few things. Again, with the ham radio stuff, if you are interested in that, you know, Google's your friend. Actually, Google's not your friend. It's kind of the enemy, but YouTube is your friend. You can actually use these to look into if you really want to get into it. Be warned, it can be addictive. Sitting around on a Saturday night with nothing better to do than tune around listening to other people's conversations, you feel kind of naughty eavesdropping. Not really. Some of it's quite funny. I can tell you just from experience. There's some good old boys in Virginia and Kentucky and a couple other places that get on some of the frequencies, lower frequencies, right around 3680, I think, most times. And they harass each other. And you can tell they're imbibing, and they get about 11 o'clock at night and they start ripping on each other, and they're gentlemen. Now, you do have to be polite when you're transmitting. There are rules and regulations. Oh, also, when you do go for your tech license, you give the FCC permission to inspect your station, which is what you transmit from. Just so you know, I'll throw that in there too. You open your doors to the FCC. But anyways, it's a blast. It really is. It's been kind of a joy to me. You know, look into it yourself. If you need any help, reach out to me. I can point you in right directions. I'm no expert by any means. There's people out there that know infinitely more than I do. There's actually places on Twitter, places on Facebook, and all others, Discord that have these places that you can go and get all kinds of information if you're interested in doing it. Your local amateur radio club, you'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at how many people around you are talking on the airwaves while you're browsing the internet. You just don't know. When I first started getting into this, I had one guy at work just like, oh, yeah, I got my general license. I do this. He showed me his setup and everything, and I wouldn't have suspected it. And I'm like, well, that's cool. And he's guided me through a lot of this stuff. And, of course, he has been kind of out of touch with it for a few years. So when I started talking about some of the new technology and the new things going on out there, he's like, no, whoa, wait a minute. And he started looking into some of the newer stuff. And he goes, I got to get it back into this. I'm like, right? You can do it on the cheap, and you get more bang for your buck. Isn't that what life's all about, is getting more bang for your buck? I'm Alan Ray. This is I Do This for Free. It's been a blast. You know, I'm going to keep bringing you the odd, the bizarre, the strange content, the things that you don't hear about anywhere but here. And hopefully we'll just make it through 2021 with flying colors because, the odds are kind of stacked against us. God bless you. We'll talk again soon.
It doesn't have to be like this.